Moon Sand. Once again, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Saturday Science with Miss Steph. I'm Miss Steph. It's wonderful to be with you today. We're going to have a great adventure making moon sand. What's moon sand? Moon sand is this stuff. What are we making today? Moon sand. Now, more than what it looks like, you might be wondering, what does it do? Why do I care about moon sand? Why would I want some, especially today in New York City on a hot day when I might want to bring the beach indoors? So, moon sand is a great activity to do with children of all ages, but in particular our smaller children, our smaller scientists who might be interested in going outside and playing with the sand. But right now that might not be available to you and your family. Or maybe you would like them to be able to play with the sand, but it not be quite so messy. So today, your favorite science teacher, that's me, guys, is going to be making some moon sand with you. And all you are going to need is the following. You need some sand, preferably some craft sand, something that's got a little color already added to it. Today I'm using pink. For those of you who know me well, I'm not a big pink fan, but hey, I'm using pink today, so let's go. And you need some little cups if you want to do it like I'm doing it, because I'm going to do it in a way that is both a science experiment, of course, hello, your favorite science teacher, okay? That's both a science experiment as well as an activity to where something you can play with a lot later, especially if you do a little bit of multiplication, hello, the M in STEAM, math, right? And make a bigger batch. Once you decide which ratios you like, and that's what we'll be testing today. And then slightly bigger cups and some spoons. You need some water, and you need some baby oil, our friend. There's a reason I'm using baby oil. You could use regular old cooking oil, but the baby oil has a little bit more pleasant scent, okay? And of course, our oldie but goodie friend, cornstarch. Little did you know you could make all these things with cornstarch. So many things. Okay? Now, let's get ourselves set up. Once again, we're making moon sand. Welcome to Saturday Science with Miss Steph. It's July 25th, 2020, and we're going to have a great time. And yes, we are doing just one activity today because, hey, it's the summer and Miss Steph needs a little bit of a break. All right? So let's get ourselves situated here. It's really a great idea to choose a color that you enjoy, right? That your children enjoy, okay? And it's a great idea to try to make this with craft sand. That's what I have, and that's why it has a color already inside of it. This particular batch that I pre-made when I was testing things, fun, is really bright hue, right? And it's very bright. And this batch has been made with actual food coloring. Now, for those of you who know, blue food coloring is pretty fierce. Yes, and it sticks to your hands and all that type of stuff. And so if you're interested in something that's not going to have color transfer, you definitely want to use craft sand that already has a color of your choice versus the kind with in which you'll have to put in food coloring. All right, so that's that. And let's get our cups together. We're going to make really 2 samples, and then at the end we'll do a little bonus situation. But we're going to make 2 samples. Now, one sample will be our kind of just the original, the basic moon sand recipe. Okay. Got this from years ago from Let's Get Crafty Crafty, for those of you who might know that YouTube channel, from like several years ago. That's where I got the original idea from. And then, of course, I've turned it into a science, extravaganza, because that's how I do things. But yeah, so our original, our OG moon sand is going to end up containing 2 parts sand and 1 part cornstarch and just a little bit of water, just enough to water to make it do the moon sandness. And you'll see what exactly the moon sandness is in a bit. Okay. Then we're going to do moon sand plus baby oil. Right? Because around these parts, I know for a fact that you just might want to try things, okay? And you want me to do it first so you get an idea of what it's going to look like should you try it in certain situations and what have you and whatnot, right? So some of you might be thinking, but what if I add a little bit of oil to it, and how is that going to react? And so forth, right? And so I have that there, right? I've got my 2 cups. Both of them are labeled. One is going to be our basic moon sand type recipe, and the other is going to put in just a touch of baby oil to see if that will change things, if that will make it softer and more enjoyable to play with. Let's see. All right. Now, so OG moon sand with baby oil. Hi, thank you so much for joining me today. It's Miss Steph, and you're on with Saturday Science with Miss Steph. So we're making moon sand. Okay. 1. Notice I'm trying to level it off as much as possible. 2. All right. 2 parts sand, and I'm using craft sand because it has pigmentation with it, and you all know how I feel about color. It makes life better. Okay. 1, leveling off a little bit, and 2. Okay. So I've got my 2 samples that I'm working here. Basic or OG per se, depending on how you want to say it. And then we've got with baby oil. Hello. Thank you so much for joining me. We've got folks on Instagram. We've got folks on Facebook. Love it. Please remember to put things in the comments. Please remember to like the video, share it, subscribe, follow our pages, all that stuff, people. We need you. Okay? All right. Yes, and let's go ahead and not the water just yet. I'll put it there. Now we're going to go with our cornstarch. Is this any particular special cornstarch? No, just basic. It's just cornstarch. All right. Remember, 2 parts sand, 1 part cornstarch. Okay. So I'm using the same type of spoon. You'll notice, right? I'm not doing like an extreme type of like really trying to make this perfectly accurate, but I am making an effort, right? Leveling off my measurements. There we go. 1 and 1. Okay. Once again, folks, today we're making moon sand, something that you can do with scientists of all ages. And today we're turning it into a science experiment, as I always do, because that's just how your favorite science teacher rolls. Hello. All right. And this is a little something that you can do, like I said, as an experiment and as a science activity. And then once you decide which formulation, that's an engineering word, yes. Once you decide which formulation you particularly enjoy and which functions the way you want it to, then you can do a little bit of multiplication, a little M, right? In STEAM, it's math. And move forward with that and make more of it, and your children can have, you and your children can have a great time playing with this for a long period of time, because maybe going to the beach right now might not be an option for you, but maybe you want to have some fun with sand. Okay, so what just happened there? Moving slowly. All right, so I'm turning my cup around slowly. And I know for a fact that I need about a teaspoon. These little cups have measurement lines on them, so that's great. So I'm going to put that teaspoon to the side. Okay. And then I need another teaspoon. Okay. Putting that teaspoon to the side for over here. I've got 2 samples that I'm making today. One OG moon sand and another moon sand with a little baby oil in it. And looking at how that changes it, right? And giving us an opportunity to decide which kind we like. All right. Now, as far as my baby oil, I'm going to measure that out too so that I can put it all together. Put in my liquids at the same time. Now, as far as my baby oil, I'm going to go to about a half teaspoon of baby oil. Again, you can tell I'm making relatively small quantities of the moon sand so that I have the opportunity to kind of test them out first. Then later, if I wanted to play with them, right, I could do so. Okay. So I have my 2 samples here. Thank you so much for joining me. I've got my 2 samples here. Right? Got my water. And then inside of my OG Moon Sand, it's just my craft sand. Okay, I ordered the craft sand on Amazon. Yes, I know we may have mixed feelings about Amazon. I get it. But these days, it's the easiest way for me to get things here because I can't get into, the art store the way that I would like to. Just my distance from Michael's and all that. Okay, and then cornstarch. So let's go ahead and pour. Boom. I'm going to let that sit for a little bit. Some of you may be wondering, Miss Steph, can I use a craft stick to stir? You absolutely can. I can be a little bit more aggressive with my plastic spoon, and so that's why I'm choosing to use that. But for those of us who might want to be more environmentally friendly, you can definitely use a craft stick. And of course, plastic spoons can be reused for, I have the heavy duty ones, so I can just keep reusing them, okay, for a period of time. And then, of course, when I'm done, recycle, right? Okay, so then I have my water for now my altered, okay, moon sand. Yes, I've got water and baby oil in this one. Now, let's talk a little bit about why you would want to play with moon sand, why you would want to do this activity with your child. Facebook, you know it's that time. I'm going to tilt you down so that you can see what I've got here, okay? Instagram, you guys normally can see. You're fine, okay? So why would you even bother to make moon sand with your child, right? So here's the thing. Moon sand is kind of like a little bit of a mix of oobleck, right? Okay. Oobleck and sand. Okay. And it's easier. Oobleck, right, we know kind of has some of that solid quality to where you can manipulate it and shape it a bit. But the thing with oobleck is that as soon as you let it go, it's just going to ooze, which is the fun of it. Okay. But maybe you don't want to play with oozing stuff today. All right. So today, maybe you want some sand that's going to feel a bit like sand, but will be able to hold its shape for a period of time. You can use cookie cutters and sand toys with it, right? So that's why you would want moon sand. Now, as far as like how much it costs and all that kind of stuff, I don't know, but as someone who's very into DIY and hey, can't I make that myself? I don't feel the need to buy everything the way that it's already made. To me, I'm like, oh, won't that be fun if I can make it? Won't it be? You know it's going to be fun when you make it. When you make this, you're going to have a great time. All right, so this is, I'm going to leave this for a little bit. This is not quite all the way, all the things aren't evenly distributed just yet. But let's stir. I want you, so take a peek at that, right? You guys see that? It's like cool. Yep, real bright color. All right, and then now this is the one that's got our baby oil in it. And remember, I didn't put a whole lot of baby oil in there, okay? But I'm getting something really soupy, okay? So, there we go. So that's a little too soupy. Come on, engineers, what do I need to do? My measurements were a bit off, right? I put too much liquid, okay? So my engineers know that we need to add more solid. And I'm actually adding more of my sand because it's not called moon oobleck, it's moon sand, right? There we go. So that's one of the things that you're going to need to know. If you decide to go with the oil set, you're going to need to have extra sand. Notice I had my extra sand on hand, just like if I were to be making oobleck, right? I know that sometimes I need to add more water to my oobleck, or sometimes I need to add more solid, being more cornstarch to my oobleck. Same situation here. Okay, same situation with my moon sand. So you see my two different textures that I've got here, right? This is giving me this kind of almost like closer to kind of semi-Play-Doh thing, and this is giving me more sand action, right? And a bit more. There we go. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, this week at Summer Science Club, our theme was engineering. And just as a quick reminder about our basic steps of the engineering design process, right? We define a problem. Problem, I want some moon sand, and I don't want to have to buy it, okay? Design your solution, okay? Do a little bit of research. I did a little bit of research, and I found out all I need is to add some craft sand and some cornstarch and a little water, and I'll be fine, right? And so now I'm mixing my prototypes together, right? You remember at the beginning of the video, I specifically said I'm just making a little bit to start with because I just kind of want to try some things out and let you see what happens so you can make a decision which formulation you like. Okay, so building. Now I'm testing. Well, I'm close to the test step, but my build step had an issue over here, right? I didn't have enough solid mixed in because of the amount of liquid that I put in. I had too much liquid to solid. Okay. So depending on what you and your young engineer want to do with it, this might work for you. Okay. But as far as what I like and what I'm trying to get it to be able to do, I want my moon sand. Moon sand meaning, because remember I promised I said I was going to define it for you. Moon sand is this kind of little just play sand that will be able to form, right, and keep its shape. Okay, and so it's not quite as messy and it's a little bit easier to have around the house for those of us who have to clean up after children, right? Yeah, so this is what we're looking for if we want something to be more sand-like. And then if we want something to be kind of a little bit more like goopy and just to kind of play with, right? Giving you this wet sand feel, you might want to go with the baby oil one, okay? So now let's finish out our testing step because as you see, I did actually ended up doing a redesign in the middle of my build step because I saw it was really not working for us, okay? I'm going to bring this over here, okay? Yay, moon sand. See, Teresa Galvin knows what I'm talking about. When I'm talking about moon sand, she knows. Thank you for joining me. Hello. All right. I've got a friend over here on Facebook that knows what moon sand is. Okay, because she's informed. She's awesome. All right. So yeah, so let's test. Let's see if this will keep its shape and still kind of be sand-like, right? And then I would redesign. Y'all know the engineering design process. I know because you've been watching, you've been paying attention. Okay. So I'm going to put a little, you notice I'm not like really playing with it like a kid. Your child is not going to do it like this. Like they're just going to put their hands in it, which is totally fine because that's kind of what they're meant to do. Like that's what should be happening. Okay. But as far as, you know, science teacher, me, I'm going to treat it like a science project. All right. So I'm putting this in here. Moon sand should be able to keep its shape while still being sand-like. Okay, so that's why we're adding our cornstarch to see if we can add that just a little bit of the property of your oobleck to get it to kind of stick together. Okay, and then we wanted to keep its shape. So I'm testing this by throwing it inside of my small little measurement containers. Okay, pressing it down. Okay, I'm doing my test step. And then I'll do a little bit of redesign with you live. Yeah, because it's cool. All right. So I have my two samples, this bright pink white sand. Okay. Now you see the benefit of using craft sand. Okay. Using sand that has a color in it already is great because then you don't have to worry about the color transferring to your children's hands and then therefore sticking everywhere. Okay. But also at the same time still getting a chance to have this your bright color. Okay. And you'll notice the color does look a little stronger just in the baby oil sample, just because baby oil has that effect. Because again, baby oil changes things up a little bit for us. Okay, so I'm going to put this there. Okay, I put it inside of something, and I want to see if my sand passes my test of keeping its shape. Okay. Put this here, and then I have these samples here. I'll bring them close to me, and I'll talk about what all this stuff is here. So this is my baby oil. Now, here's the thing with the baby oil. Like it's oozing the oil. Not too much, okay? And then the sample without the baby oil, old school moon sand, is like perfect. See? Also with the baby oil, believe it or not, even though it looks like it's more congealed and it's able to keep its shape better, the sand is coming off on my fingers. Okay? Whereas over here, even though it looks like it's not as together, it's holding its shape quite nicely, and the sand does not come off on my fingers as much. Okay? So that's that. And then over here, just to give you a visualization of what the components look like on the plate, right? So I've got my sand. There we go, Instagram. I'm kind of trying to tilt you guys a little bit. Okay. So I've got sand, cornstarch, regular moon sand. This was my moon sand that I made a little bit earlier. Hello. Hi. Science teacher. I know better than just come on and just, do whatever. No, we're not doing that. Plan. Okay. I respect y'all enough to plan and trust them in advance. All right, and then my moon sand with baby oil. You'll see for this one, my ratio of baby oil was not as high. I actually just used a half a teaspoon of baby oil instead of a full teaspoon. But still, when I touch this, it comes off a little bit, not a whole lot, but this one definitely, the sand does not come off. Okay, and it's keeping its shape. All right, and as promised, I said I would redesign a little bit. So obviously, I have too much, way too much. Like way too much baby oil. Okay, right? And so if I were to add some more sand and a little bit more cornstarch to my mixture, I would get something that was closer to what I want, closer to what we're calling. See, it already turned as soon as I add that cornstarch. It's already starting to improve, right? The cornstarch is starting to absorb the oil a little bit better. Okay, and still mix. So now you see how should you go with the baby oil and you put in too much one time, you see what you got to do. Okay, add more sand and definitely add some more cornstarch. Okay, just chemically speaking, the sand is not going to absorb anything because that's just not how sand works, and sand doesn't have that capacity. Whereas the cornstarch is able to then absorb some things. Okay, so let's tilt Facebook back up. Hi. Yeah, see? Look into my eyes. Alrighty then. So anywho, we've got that. We made moon sand together today. It was great. It was awesome. Let's review what we learned from making moon sand. One, you can absolutely make it at home. You don't have to buy it. Okay. You can, if you've got some craft sand at home that you have been using for other purposes, guess what? You can now add one more purpose to it. If your kid is telling you, I want to go outside and play with the sand, or I want to go to the beach, well, guess what? This is a little something where you can bring the beach inside of your house and do a little science activity with them. Okay. So let's talk about our materials. Today we used, where's my just regular old sand? We used sand. We, of course, need water. And you notice I used very little water. Okay? We used water. We also used some small cups, some measuring cups, and then you notice that I also doubled the measuring cups usage, right? I used them as a measuring device as well as my testing device, as well as like making my little, if you can imagine, I could make a little mini sandcastle using these, right? And then, of course, we had our medium-sized cups. Spoon, remember, you can use different kinds of spoons. This is not something where the chemicals are going to react in some way where you can't use a craft stick or anything like that. Feel free to use that. Of course, I used cornstarch. Cornstarch is one of our major ingredients. It's not the ingredient that's the most abundant in our formulation, but it is absolutely necessary to turn your sand into moon sand. Okay. And a little baby oil to try it out to see what would happen if I put some inside of it, right? And we learned what to do if we add too much baby oil. We know what to do, right? Cool, cool, cool. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me today for Saturday Science with Miss Steph. I'm Miss Steph, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Remember to like, comment, share, subscribe to the videos. Make sure that you like our Instagram and Facebook page, and of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you are able to get a notification and so on and so forth when I do put the edited and like fancy version of this video up on my YouTube page. Page channel, you guys know, all page, channel, feed, whatever. I mean, it's all linked together. Okay. You'll get a notification, and you'll also get to go through the lesson concepts once again. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial, and have a wonderful and awesome rest of your weekend. Goodbye. Thank you.